So the first technique we're going to talk about is ghost notes. And what are ghost notes and how do we play them on the drum set? Well, I always define ghost notes as being more felt than heard. So it's a very soft stroke, and it's not something you notice when it's there, but it's something you notice when it's not there. All right, so the way I'd play a ghost note is just very softly on the snare drum like this. Now, if you ever talk to any drum corps people, they'll say ghost notes are not played at all. They're literally a rest or you fake the stroke. And that's fine for that style of drumming, but generally when we talk about drum set playing, we refer to ghost notes as very quiet strokes. So I just wanted to let you guys know that in case you ever encountered anyone who was telling you ghost notes were something different. And so let's talk a little bit about what is happening when I'm performing that ghost note stroke. The stick starts low, okay? You don't play a ghost note from up here. Okay, that would be very hard to be quiet, because even if I just drop the stick, you'll hear it. It's still very loud. So the weight of the stick on its own is too much, which is why we start low, drop it, and get a nice soft stroke. Now, all I'm doing to get that stroke is just dropping my fingers. So if the stick is sitting on the drum, I just let my fingers go like that a little bit, and the tip of the stick will fall onto the snare drum. Now, that is a technique I use just to play a single ghost note. A lot of times you'll see drummers do stuff where they're playing a series of ghost notes, something like this. And then I'm basically just doing a very soft double stroke with my left hand. And again, I'm just dropping the stick and letting it bounce twice. So it takes a little bit to get those techniques together, and you want to get them together with your left hand as well as your right hand. And generally I play ghost notes on the snare drum, but you can play them anywhere on the kit. So if you're playing like a loud hi-hat pattern, feel free to add a few ghost notes in there. I also want to mention how ghost notes are notated. You'll see on the sheet music, ghost notes have parentheses or brackets around the note. And that means it's just played very, very softly. Okay, so what I've done is I put together 10 ghost note exercises for you. I'm going to demonstrate them at 60 beats per minute, and then I'm going to go all the way up to 100 beats per minute. Now, before moving on to the next one, I want you to be able to play it perfectly at 80 beats per minute. You don't have to worry about getting it to 100 right away, but I want you to be able to play it at 80 beats per minute before moving on to the next exercise. And like I said, really, really focus on making sure that is a nice, soft stroke. Your bandmates will absolutely love you because it'll give your grooves more feel, it'll give your playing more dynamics, and I really think it'll help your time in general. So let's go through these exercises at the 2 tempos that I've mentioned. So there's a few more tips I want to leave you with before you head off to practice these on your own. The first is, when you saw me playing some of those exercises, you're probably like, what technique is he using to come out and do the accent right after a ghost note? Because you see sometimes I'll do a ghost note, come up, and then hit an accented note. And that's using something called Moeller. Now, Moeller is also included within this technique section, so make sure you practice that as well when you need to work on these types of ghost note exercises. So what I need you to do with these is play them at the slow tempo of 60 and then get them to a tempo of 80 where you feel really comfortable with them. You can play them for 2 minutes straight perfectly with no mistakes, and then go ahead and move on to the next section.